Tonight, a Canberra builder avoids jail despite admitting assaulting and threatening his heavily pregnant wife. Also tonight, Greens leader Adam Bandt threatens legal action against the Attorney-General over comments linking him to pro-Palestinian protests. Queensland thrashed the Blues in Origin. And the National Gallery celebrates the power couple behind the influential Bauhaus School of Art. Yuma, good evening. Adrienne Francis with ABC News, coming to you from Ngunnawal country, and we also acknowledge other people and families with connection to the lands of the ACT. A Canberra judge has delivered a scathing assessment of a man who admitted assaulting and threatening his heavily pregnant wife, saying he has shown no genuine remorse and is only sad for himself. Builder Brendan Howe pleaded guilty to a total of 4 charges, but will serve no jail time.
A sense of entitlement. That's how Justice Louise Taylor summed up Brendan Howe's attitude towards his former partner. The court heard Howe's assaults on the woman were backed up by threats that included telling her he was the boss and the provider and using offensive language to refer to their unborn child, adding, "I rule the roost of this house. You should worship the ground I walk on." During another attack, Howe threatened to kill the victim if she left him. Justice Taylor noted the victim told the court she had lived in fear, walking on eggshells every day. She gave a powerful account of the insidious impact the use of violence in an intimate relationship can have. Common to each of these offences is the offender's sense of entitlement born of the power he had over the victim. But it was a letter to the court from Howe apologising that drew the most scathing response. Justice Taylor said it had been carefully crafted so as to not link the offences to the impact on the victim, and he had shown no genuine remorse. He is sad for himself, Justice Taylor said. Justice Taylor told the court Howe had an inflated sense of self-importance and used offensive and deliberately demeaning language to make the victim feel small. She said it's conduct the community condemns, as she imposed a 7-month suspended sentence with 50 hours of community service. Elizabeth Byrne, ABC News, Canberra.
And if this story has raised issues for you or anyone you know, help is available from Respect. That's 1800 737 732, and from Lifeline on 13 11 14. The National Anti-Corruption Commission won't launch fresh investigations into 6 public officials involved in the Robo Debt scandal. 500,000 Australians were targeted by the Robo Debt scheme, which unlawfully raised debts of more than $1.7 billion against social security recipients. The final report of the Royal Commission into the saga had included a sealed chapter recommending further civil or criminal action against people involved in the scheme. It was provided to the Anti-Corruption Commission, which has today said it won't pursue its own probes, as it's unlikely to uncover anything new about the officials' conduct. Greens leader Adam Bandt is threatening legal action against the Attorney-General over comments linking him to violence at pro-Palestinian rallies. At the same time, the Greens are accusing Labor of complicity in genocide and not supporting a ceasefire. Here's National Affairs editor Melissa Clark.
Labor MPs are frustrated by protests at their electorate offices, where there has been graffiti, property damage and physical confrontations.
You only need to look at the sort of things that Greens are posting on social media and their attendance at the blockades of MPs' offices.
Federal and state Greens MPs have encouraged people to protest.
So please come and join them outside Prime Minister Albanese's office.
But Labor has also accused the Greens of inciting violence.
You're not a party of peace if you're out there inciting aggression, violence, violent protests.
We backed the organisers' calls that there should not be vandalism or similar. We have been crystal clear on that.
Labor hasn't shown a specific incident where the Greens have directly encouraged violence. The Greens leader has threatened legal action against Attorney General Mark Dreyfus for suggesting it.
My lawyers have written to the Attorney General regarding what I consider to be defamatory statements.
The Greens have used social media to press the politics.
Labor is complicit and cowardly in this mission of genocide that Israel is conducting against Palestinians.
And make highly charged claims about complex issues.
They've said we're selling weapons to Israel when we're not. They say that we support genocide when plainly that is a completely offensive and distressing thing to say.
Even discussing a ceasefire becomes febrile.
We voted many months ago with over 150 other countries for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire.
What they've called for is a humanitarian ceasefire so that there's a pause so that people can be fed and then the bombing can start again.
As the war in Gaza drags on, the political debate here has deteriorated, raising concerns about the cues protesters take from it and the impact it has on community cohesion.
It's appearing like a signal, like a beacon going out, and it's whipping up a mob who are then protesting.
Hopes for de-escalation abroad and at home. Melissa Clark, ABC News, Canberra.
Palestinian authorities say at least 27 people have been killed in Israeli airstrikes targeting a school in central Gaza. Dozens more have been taken to hospital as rescue teams search for survivors inside the Nusayrat refugee camp. Israeli authorities say 2 missiles were fired at the school, which it claims was being used as a Hamas compound. Hamas has denied the allegations and is calling the attack a horrific massacre. The IDF says it took steps before the airstrike to reduce harming uninvolved civilians. Meanwhile, violence has erupted at Israel's annual Jerusalem Day march, with some Jewish Israelis attacking Palestinians and journalists. Middle East correspondent Alison Horn reports from the Old City in Jerusalem.
I'm standing at the entrance of the Muslim quarter in the Old City of Jerusalem. Usually this is an area that would be teeming with Palestinians, but today they've all been moved out of this area to make way for thousands of far-right Israelis and Jews to march through the streets, marking Israel's capture of East Jerusalem in 1967. Before the march even started, tensions were running high, with confrontations between Palestinians and Israelis inside the Muslim quarter. Journalists were abused, including myself and my crew. I was hit in the face. We were pushed and verbally abused by some young Israelis taking part. We've been hearing some Israelis chanting offensive slogans like "Death to Arabs" and songs about burning Arab villages down. This annual march, the Flag March, is seen as a celebration for Israelis and for some, their supremacy over this area and this land, which Palestinians want as the capital of a future Palestinian state. For Palestinians, this is an offensive provocation in the ongoing Israeli occupation of East Jerusalem, according to international law.
It's chaos, and Palestinians are getting beaten. And even me, they beat in the legs in front of the police.
What occupation? It's ours. The land of Israel was given to the people of Israel.
Rights groups in Israel had tried to block this particular section of the march going into the Muslim quarter here in the Old City, fearful it would further escalate hostilities between Israelis and Palestinians.
Alison Horn reporting. The Australian National University has expelled a student over comments they made about Hamas on ABC Radio. In an interview in late April, pro-Palestine encampment member Beatrice Tucker was asked whether they wanted to send a message to the militant group Hamas over its actions from October 7 last year. Beatrice Tucker replied that Hamas deserve unconditional support, but that they completely disagree with the militant group's strategy in its war with Israel. Sources have told the ABC the ANU believe the comments could have been construed as supporting a terrorist organisation. Ngunnawal elders have welcomed long-awaited progress on a new national Indigenous cultural precinct, which has been in limbo since being announced 2 years ago. The federal government has today confirmed Noora will be built on the Acton Peninsula rather than at Commonwealth Place.
2.5 years after Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples were promised a home for their history at the heart of the nation, the federal government has resurrected plans for Noora, with one big difference.
A rescoped and new Noora that will be located at the Acton Peninsula.
Indigenous Affairs Minister Linda Burney announced the update while addressing the Australian Institute for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Studies, or IATSIS, summit in Melbourne. The old plan involved relocating IATSIS from the Acton Peninsula to the southern shore of Lake Burley-Griffin between Old Parliament House and the War Memorial, and adding a knowledge and cultural centre and national resting place for ancestral remains. The new plan retains those two latter elements, but delivers Noora at the current IATSIS site, which would be upgraded and expanded. After consultation on the first proposal and this insistence 2 years ago,
this vista is not complete, for there has not been to this day a permanent place of honour to recognise 65,000 years of Indigenous history.
Auntie Ros Brown admits she had concerns.
I've since changed my mind and realised that no matter where it is in Canberra, it's going to be on Ngunnawal country anyway.
Assurances of a bigger, better IATSIS also helped.
The building bad in need of repair, the current IATSIS building, leaking roofs and other things.
While repurposing the existing infrastructure at IATSIS means the project will stay on schedule, shelving concepts submitted in an architectural design competition will keep it on budget.
The cost was estimated to be considerably more, many tens of millions more than the $316.5 million that the government had originally committed.
IATSIS plans to work with shortlisted teams on new designs. Emmy Groves, ABC News, Canberra.
It was the German art school that went on to inspire a global modernist movement, and now a new exhibition at the National Gallery of Australia is celebrating the influential works of Annie and Joseph Albers, the powerhouse couple behind Bauhaus.
Their work and their love story spanned decades and continents. Annie and Joseph Albers met in 1922 at the acclaimed Bauhaus School of Experimental Art and Design in Germany. 3 years later, they were married.
It's kind of a love story that really endures throughout time.
In 1933, amid rising tensions and under the fascist government, the Bauhaus was forced to close and the Albers fled to the United States. There, they continued to work across a variety of disciplines in the modernist tradition.
Art could actually be functional, and ultimately that art could reflect and connect with modern life.
Joseph had a unique love for colour, which culminated in his iconic series, Homage to the Square.
The overarching theory is that our experience of colour is contextual, so it relies on the surroundings in which we perceive it.
While Annie focused on textiles and printmaking.
She really helped to elevate that and make sure that it wasn't sort of just relegated to women's work or women's craft.
Through their teaching at Black Mountain College in the US, they inspired generations more. For the first time, an exhibition honouring the Bauhaus power couple has been put together, featuring their work and the work of some of their contemporaries.
They're two of the 20th century's greatest artists, really. They span such a long period of the century, and they were incredibly influential to artists working later in the century as well as even working now.
The exhibition, which is free, is on display at the National Gallery of Australia from this Saturday until September. Lottie Twyford, ABC News, Canberra.
Coming up on 7:30 with Sarah Ferguson, one woman's battle to save her home from destruction.
It is my home. This is all I know. When you are responsible for something, you care about it.
I'm in awe of her strength to keep at it because it's correct.
I need people to care because I care. I care with all my soul.
Vladimir Putin has held an extremely rare face-to-face meeting with international news agencies in St. Petersburg. The Russian president told journalists the deliveries of German tanks to Ukraine came as a shock. Germany recently joined the United States in authorising Ukraine to hit some targets on Russian soil with the long-range weapons they supplied to Kyiv. Mr. Putin said use of those weapons would mark a dangerous step and could further undermine international security. He warned Russia could provide their own long-range missiles to others to strike Western targets.
For some reason, the West believes that Russia will never use nuclear weapons. If someone's actions threaten our sovereignty, we consider it possible for us to use all means at our disposal.
King Charles has led Britain's commemorations for the 80th anniversary of D-Day, one of the most pivotal moments in the Second World War. In France, as the sun rose over the beaches of Normandy, US Navy SEALs reenacted the events of 1944. The day pays tribute to the Allied soldiers who fought to drive out the forces of Nazi Germany and liberate France. With war raging on Europe's borders, this year's commemorations carry special significance.
A fitting backdrop for a moment of remembrance and reflection to mark the 80th anniversary of D-Day. Sitting alongside royals and other dignitaries, veterans and their families, 99-year-old Roy Hayward is one of the few still alive. He lost his legs in the war.
I always considered myself one of the lucky ones that survived.
He and more than 150,000 other Allied troops, including thousands of Australians, set sail from Portsmouth in the largest ever military operation to liberate Nazi-occupied France, a major turning point of the Second World War.
Today we remember the bravery of those who crossed the sea to liberate Europe.
It is our duty to ensure that we and future generations do not forget their service and their sacrifice.
After the formalities, the royals charmed the crowd.
So you must be 100.
Oh, I'm 99.
99. Yes. It's amazing your hearing's so good.
Prince William is joining King Charles, with the pair travelling to France for more D-Day commemorations. It will be the King's first overseas visit since the palace revealed his cancer diagnosis in February. US President Joe Biden is also in France on a trip designed to underscore his commitment to US allies in Europe. In Normandy, paratroopers recreate the start of the D-Day landings.
My thoughts today are with those who fell on both sides.
Freedom at the cost of so many lives. Rani Hayman, ABC News, London.
Boeing has successfully launched 2 NASA astronauts into space for the first time following years of technical problems. The company's Starliner spacecraft finally blasted off from Cape Canaveral in Florida after the first 2 launch attempts were called off. The astronauts will spend just over a week at the International Space Station before touching back down in a remote desert location in the US. Boeing plans for Starliner to compete with Elon Musk's SpaceX as another taxi service for NASA. United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has delivered a blistering speech calling for urgent action on global warming. Mr. Guterres says almost 10 years after the Paris Climate Agreement was adopted, the goal is hanging by a thread. New UN data shows there's an 80% chance the planet will reach the 1.5 degrees Celsius limit in warming within the next 5 years. At a major speech in New York, Mr. Guterres called fossil fuel companies the godfathers of climate chaos.
We are playing Russian roulette with our planet. And we need an exit ramp off the highway to climate hell. And I call on leaders in the fossil fuel industry to understand that if you are not in the fast lane to clean energy transformation, you are driving your business into a dead end and taking us all with you.
To finance now, and the local share market performed strongly after Wall Street had its biggest gain in 4 months. Here's Alan Kohler.
The main New York index went up 1.2% and the Nasdaq 2%.
but it was all about Nvidia, the artificial intelligence semiconductor business that surged past $3 trillion in market value last night, overtaking Apple to take second place to Microsoft on the world's most valuable company podium. That's $4.5 trillion Australian dollars, which is twice the total value of all companies listed on the Australian Stock Exchange, which went up 0.7% today. And the big news on our market was that Commonwealth Bank hit a new record high of $124.85. But before we do high fives, CBA's value is less than 1/20th of Nvidia's. And here's a chart of those two share prices over the past 5 years, which is one of those pictures that's worth 1,000 words. Today's economic data release was housing lending in April, which accelerated to 4.8% monthly growth from 3.8%. Loan sizes have hit record highs of $750,000 for owner-occupiers and more than $500,000 for first home buyers. Now, repayments on that are about $3,300 a month, or 45% of average weekly earnings, which is 50% above what's regarded as affordable. Nickel fell 4% on commodity markets, while the Aussie dollar stayed at 66.6 US cents. Now, you may be interested to know that the average global temperature has hit 1.63 degrees centigrade above pre-industrial times. So the Paris target of 1.5 degrees has come and gone. It might fall back below 1.5. After all, there is a fair bit of volatility there, but not that much. And the trend, well, you can see the trend, and that's finance.
To sport now, and Joseph Akuso Suaalii has apologised for his knockout tackle on Maroon star Reece Walsh in Game 1 of the State of Origin series, insisting it was purely accidental. The incident was the pivotal moment in the series opener, with the Maroons running away with a 38-10 victory after Suaalii was sent off.
Earlier on in the year, I think he ended up with a broken jaw, I think, and there was no send-off. So it's a big call at this level.
I'll keep my feelings about that to myself.
Disappointed, letting my family, my state, and especially my teammates down. I feel like that's probably the toughest thing about it.
Yeah, it was a good hit, and just got to keep rolling the punches.
With Walsh out of the game, the question. Anthea Moody, ABC News.
And Origin footy fever continues this evening, with the second game of the women's series kicking off at 7:45. New South Wales lead the series, but the Maroons are hungry to level the scoreline. Bridget Murphy joins me now from Newcastle's Hunter Stadium. Bridget, apart from the rain, what's the atmosphere like?
Well, the rain hasn't stopped these fans turning out here at Newcastle. This is expected, hopefully, to be a capacity event. About 30,000 tickets selling. One of the first ever sellouts in a women's rugby league game in Australia. So fingers crossed that all of the fans who did get tickets do make it out to Hunter Stadium tonight in these conditions. The New South Wales squad, they do lead this series with a one-match advantage, winning 22-12 last month in Brisbane. But the Maroons wanting to level the series to make it a decider in Queensland in a few weeks' time. The Queenslanders have made some changes to their squad to bolster their attack. The Blues are ironing down their defence for tonight. They believe it is going to be a very contentious clash here in Newcastle, and they are hoping to lock down this series with a victory in their only home game for this Women's Origin series.
Bridget Murphy reporting from a very wet Newcastle. Thank you. And in tennis, Alex de Minaur's best run at a French Open is over after a straight sets loss to German Alexander Zverev in the quarterfinals. The Australian was unable to convert his chances during the 3-hour match, but said he left his heart out on the court.
Big night for Australian tennis.
Wasn't good enough. That takes a lot of momentum and confidence onto the grass.
His innocence.
Australia is seeking to become the first country to hold world champions in 3 cricket formats.
It is a nice start, I think. Maybe a few cobwebs for us, but we're better for the run. We got the win. Some boys spent some time in the middle and everyone got a bowl.
To the weather now and your observations. Thank you to Ralph Doughty for capturing these toadstools at Stirling Park in Yarralumla, but no fairies. Overnight, the Bureau recorded 17 millimetres in the north side rain gauge and 11 millimetres in the valley. Only very light scattered showers today, and after a low of 8 north side, we reached a top of 15 degrees in the valley. A surface trough extending from the Illawarra into the Tasman Sea deepened today, and at Vincentia, 99 millimetres was recorded in the 3 hours to 8:10 this morning and 176 millimetres in the 24 hours. And it was very windy along the Batemans and Eden coasts. There were showers for Perth and rain eased over Sydney. The satellite is showing thick cloud in central and southeast New South Wales as a deepening trough gains moisture and is generating heavy rain and the odd storm. Patchier cloud and a few storms in New South Wales northeast with a cold air pool. Cloud is building in far southwest WA as a front approaches and is starting to bring some rain. Tomorrow, showers are forecast for Sydney and Perth. There is a severe weather warning for heavy rainfall for the Illawarra and parts of the South Coast, Central Tablelands and Southern Tablelands. Locations which could be affected include Wollongong, Nowra, Bowral, Campbelltown, Ulladulla, Jenolan Caves, Oberon, Taralga and Nerriga. There is also a marine strong wind warning and a sheep graziers warning. Canberra can expect a low of 6 before a cloudy day with 15 the top. High chance of showers, winds southerly 15 to 25 kilometres an hour, becoming light in the late evening. The sun will rise at 7:02 a.m. and set at 5:02 p.m. Looking ahead, showers Saturday, partly cloudy Sunday and Monday. Then the showers are expected to return Tuesday and Wednesday. And that is the very latest from the Canberra newsroom. I'm Adrienne Francis. Great to be with you. Stay with us now for 7:30 with Sarah Ferguson. Enjoy your evening. Yarra, good night.